Hi, my friend. Are you ready to be found online wherever your dream clients are searching? Are you looking to make your marketing make sense? Do you want to be able to confidently make decisions about your marketing so that you can stop wasting your time and money and really know what to focus on to grow your business? If so, you are in the right place, and I am so excited to have you here. Let's jump right in. If you have a small podcast and you are looking to monetize it and you're afraid that you can't because it's small, I want to assure you a small podcast can actually make you money. So let's jump right into today's topic. I am your host, Rachel Lind Teigen, and I am so glad that you are here with me today because today we're going to talk about ways that you can make money podcasting even if you have a small show. So generally when people say, I have a podcast, but it doesn't do anything for my business, I don't make any money, it's just something that costs me money. I hear that. Like I have to pay my bill for Buzzsprout. I have to pay for Descript. I'm paying my podcast manager, but I'm not making any money from it, or I'm not big enough to make money from it. They're often thinking like they don't yet qualify for ads or sponsorships. And that's really the goal that they're looking for, is to get to that point. And so they feel like they've got to get to the point of having this big show. So they're just investing and investing and investing in their show, but they're not monetizing it yet because they don't think they're at that point that they can monetize. And I want to assure you that a small podcast can be very profitable for you, even if you don't qualify for monetization, you don't have ads, you don't have sponsorships. Like this podcast right here, 100% qualifies for monetization. It is an option and I have not turned it on. Yes, I could take ads. Yes, I could take sponsors. And no, I have not done that because I don't want to. And I want you to realize that your podcast, even if it gets to the point that it does qualify for all of that, does not have to have that in order to help your business make money. So that's really the biggest misconception I see, is that people think that the podcast has to be a big show with a big audience and get sponsorships and thousands of downloads and run ads and all of that. And that's not the case. So there are so many other ways that you can use a podcast to help grow your business. Now, if you are just looking to have a podcast, it's a niche podcast, it's fun, it's a side hobby, whatever, then it's going to be different. But this is what we're talking about today, is a strategy for a podcast to help support and grow your business, because that really is what's important, is business podcast. So what I want you to think about are, how do I generate leads from my podcast? How do I make sales from my podcast? How do I make money from my podcast without ads or sponsorships? How do I grow my small podcast? So what I want you to really think about is your ideal customer. What podcast episodes are you making? What topics are you talking about? What are you adding to the conversation? How are you helping them? Because your podcast should be a nurturing tool for your business. It should be helping you bring in leads, because if we have it optimized for podcast SEO, then it should be visible in the search apps when people are searching for podcasts related to yours. It should then be able to nurture people. They should listen to the episodes. They should find them helpful. They should then hopefully want to work with you. Now, I know that this happens. I was talking to a student the other day, and she was sharing with me that she has a new one-on-one client. She's a life coach. She has a new one-on-one client who initially found her through ChatGPT. So ChatGPT recommended her podcast and her as a coach for this particular person. So they came and they listened to the podcast and they fell in love with her teaching style and her voice. And they reached out to her and asked, do you take one-on-one clients? are you open? Do you have spots for new clients right now? And she said she sure did. And she got that new client because ChatGPT told them about her. And then they listened to all the podcast episodes, fell in love, and reached out and were ready to enroll to work with her one-on-one for several months. The same life coach also had another new client who came in recently. Same thing. That new client came through the podcast app. They went in and searched a keyword related to the podcast title. This podcast ranked at the top of the search app for that keyword. They then found it, listened to it, liked the content because it was very applicable to what they were looking for. They also reached out and asked, do you have openings right now? Are you working with people one-on-one? Because I want to work with you. I like you. So that is what your podcast can do for you if you are being strategic with your content and you are creating topics and talking about things that would be helpful to your audience and things that they are searching for, and you've optimized it so that they can find you. And we do want to talk about optimization on your website and on your podcast, because having the right optimization on your website, especially AI-focused optimization, is going to help show up where somebody's searching in ChatGPT and asking questions. Then we also want to make sure that we're optimizing the podcast itself so that if somebody is searching in the podcast app, it can start to have your show up more often and bring more people in. What I want you to really understand here is that you don't need to wait for your show to grow to turn it into both a lead generator and a nurturing tool for your business. So you want to make sure you have a funnel set up. Make sure that on your podcast, you are letting people know that you do work one-on-one. You do have your group coaching program. You do have whatever product it is that you have in your community or that you help people with. Let them know how they can work with you. Recommend or offer or share about your opt-ins. Help them get on your email list. Help them become part of your ecosystem. And then each week when you release your new podcast episode, it's another way to help them nurture and answer their questions and help them move through the sales funnel so that they get to the point they're ready to work with you, whether it's one-on-one, group coaching program, you're a realtor and somebody decides they want to work with you to find a new home, you're an insurance agent and you're working with clients in your community. There's so many different ways that a podcast can help your business. You just want to make sure that you are focusing on content that's going to be helpful to your ideal customer and optimizing that content for the search engines, Google, AI, and your podcast apps. If you have questions about how to do this, you want help, you want to figure out how to monetize your podcast, I have the podcast group program that you can join. There's currently a self-study version of Simple Podcast SEO, that is available. I am working on developing a group program where we're really going to get into that lead generation, the nurturing, the content strategy, all of that. I am working on that. That should come out, I'm thinking, in 2026. So if you're interested in, learning about that. And in the interim, this is something that I help my one-on-one clients with as well. So if you have a podcast, you need to put all of this together. You want some help and some guidance. You're not sure how to put together the podcast funnel, all of that. That's something that we can work on one-on-one as well. So lots of ways that we can work together. For now, if you want to get started, there's the Beginner's Guide to Podcast SEO. There also are beginner's guides to traditional SEO as well as AI SEO. Those will all kind of help you start to understand what to do from an optimization standpoint. I've got some other blog posts that'll help you with podcasting. If you just go to the website, go to the blog page and just click on the podcasting
button, you'll be able to see lots of other podcast blog posts and also some other podcast episodes. I usually talk about this once a month. It's one of my content pillars we all talk about. We've got to have content pillars. This is one of mine. So take a look at it and start playing around with it and seeing how you can make money. You don't need thousands of downloads to make money. You just need the right strategy, and you can start making money from your podcast long before you qualify for ads or sponsorships. And you may be like me, you may decide you don't want them, because sometimes the ads turn people off. I know we had that happen with a podcast that my son absolutely used to love. And I understand they want to monetize it. I get that 100%. However, the ads that are on that podcast now, it's a children's podcast, and the ads that are on that podcast are not necessarily kid-friendly. And so we fast forward through them. And it's very annoying because the entire first 2 minutes of the podcast are ads. And they're so irrelevant for the audience that it just turns us off, and we're fast forwarding through it. And now he's kind of lost interest and doesn't even really want to listen to the podcast because he finds the ads so annoying. So something to think about as well as you're looking at growing your show. Ads could actually hurt you in the long run. It's better to do it this way, where you're using it to help nurture your audience, to bring new people into your world. So lead generation and nurturing is better, at least from my experience. All right, that is it for today. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you back here next week. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you took away something very actionable that you can start to use in your business right away. If you want any of the freebies that were mentioned, or you want any of my resources or free trainings, you can find those at edgedmarketing.com/freebies. If you would like to work together, I would love to work with you. Send me a note, reply to an email, DM me on Instagram. You know how to find me. I would love to help you grow your business as well. And if you have found this podcast helpful, would you do me the biggest favor and follow it or subscribe on your podcast app of choice, and then give it a rating and review? That really does help. It's just a little something you can do that helps me out in return. I appreciate it so much. I'll see you back here next week.